Hey nerds, it's Cubbie, the Stranger Things guy, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Cubbie Chats. I'm here with Stranger Things yapper HannahSarah.
Hello, nerds. So excited to be here with you today. And we are very excited because we have an amazing guest who helped save the world with a mind for math and one unforgettable duet. From belting the NeverEnding Story across the airwaves of Hawkins, shining on the Broadway stage, today's guest is a powerhouse of talent and heart. You know her as Suzie from Stranger Things. Please welcome Gabriella Pizzolo. We are so excited you're here with us today.
That was such an awesome intro. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love all of the stuff about Suzie particularly. I do think that she definitely does love to belt and save the world at the same time.
Yes.
She's
Yes.
definitely a powerhouse.
Favorite activities. She is. That was one of the first things that I thought when I was reading the script, is I was like, this first moment that you see her, she's something else.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
Okay, so I was gonna
adorable.
ask, since you brought it up, when you read the script, did they make you audition with the song?
Yes, actually. I was away on a family vacation and I got the script and it didn't have the two names of like the characters Dustin and Suzie. It was like Timmy and Jenny or something, I think. And I was like, this is so odd because I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be for Stranger Things, but I know no characters named like Tim or Timmy
Yeah.
that are kids. Like, and I was like, okay, so this is probably like either Dustin or like I'm not quite sure. And it was the scene with the NeverEnding Story song, and they wanted everybody to just sing it a cappella. And like half the scene was just that.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is kind of interesting. So I was sitting with my mom, who was reading with me on the tape, and half of it is just like me sitting there singing to myself. And she's like walking out of the room, like, okay, I'm done reading. And yeah, no, but I honestly, I was like, this is going to be so fun because I had always loved the movie, The NeverEnding Story. So I actually knew the song already just from liking it. And I was like, well, this is perfect. I'm going to be able to just sing the song that I used to, listen to all the time when watching a movie. And that was like an entire half of it. I was like, oh, great. I already have like half of this already like memorized down pat. I know it.
Do you know the context you're singing in, or did they just say sing this song and that's it?
They did give this scene right before it with the dialogue, but other than that, we had no context of what that was or like how crucial of a moment it ended up.
Yeah.
Even when I was filming it, I was like, all right, what's the context of like where is this in the show? Like I know it's probably towards the end, but like what exactly is going on? And they were like, well, like it's a very serious moment otherwise, like high stakes, they need this thing. But like they didn't explain like for what or who needed it at all.
Yeah.
So I was just like, all right, it's great.
It's an iconic moment. And what was that like watching that back for you? You're like, okay, this is what it's for. What was that experience watching it all come together?
I remember I was watching it about a month before it actually was released, and I was texting Gaten about it, who plays Dustin, and I was like, he had been saying like, you're not gonna believe it, it's a really, really good, fun moment, you're really gonna love it. And I was like recording some post-production audio and editing that they needed to do last minute the month before. And so they were like, we actually have a surprise for you. You're going to be able to see it before like everyone else is watching it in the world. So I was like, okay, thank goodness. At least I get to see it like a little bit beforehand and kind of know somewhat what's going on. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is actually like really high stakes. There's like a giant monster chasing them like while we're singing this. But like I feel like I already kind of understood how much it added to like the shock and humor of like this just coming out of nowhere. And then I was like, oh, I honestly feel like it's better that they didn't tell us everything at all. Because I think it really would have changed it, and it was so like perfectly just kind of placed the way it was
Yeah.
Yeah, and Gaten and I were just like practicing the song maybe once or twice together beforehand, and then they were like, "Great, all right, don't practice it too much. Let's just go." And we were like, "Okay." So it was really fun getting to kind of figure it out over like multiple takes of like how exactly we wanted to sing it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like shows the genius of the Duffers because it's the perfect blend of a little bit of horror, the suspense of the monsters chasing them, and then Hopper and Joyce are, in the Russian territory, and then you got them singing. And then seeing everybody's reactions to them singing, it's
So
just
funny.
perfect. It's
That was
so
my
good.
favorite thing. And when
Yeah.
in the like little like epilogue moment in season 3 where like they're totally still talking about it, making fun of Dustin for it, I was like,
Oh yeah.
that's so good
Max.
too.
Uh-huh.
Like I love that it's kind of just going to haunt him a little bit forever.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
as a character.
Yeah, because Lucas and Max sing it to him.
They sing it.
Yes.
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 Yes, that's
You
so
got
good.
the other Broadway kids singing too on the show now. You
Yes.
get
Mhm.
Sadie and Caleb to do their own rendition. I was like, "Oh, this is perfect." They knew exactly what they were doing with that.
Which, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but the 4 like Broadway babies, you, Sadie, Caleb, Gaten, were all kind
Yes.
of connected prior to Stranger Things, right? Like you and Caleb would play on the Broadway playground.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yes. Sadie and I ended up knowing each other because her older brother was in Matilda with me.
Mm-hmm.
And if like anyone, if you know the story of Matilda, he played specifically the kid that has to eat all the chocolate cake.
Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce.
Yeah.
So it was really fun because Matilda and him, like in the actual musical, get like a good amount of moments together. So I was really close with Mitchell, and so I knew Sadie because she was always at the theater, and she was also doing Annie at that time. So you had
Oh
two
wow.
siblings on Broadway together at the same time, and they were both really young. So you
Wow.
would always be hanging out, and then I would see Caleb and Gaten both like in between shows, in between matinee and evenings on 2 show days, especially on the weekends. We would be playing at the 43rd Street playground, and it was like kind of a place where all of these young performers used to meet up. And now it kind of doesn't really, I'm sure they have different places, but at that specific moment in time, that was the
Mm-hmm.
place that everyone was at. And
Yeah.
all knew each other. We had pictures with each other when we were like 7 or 8. And then I didn't really hear from a lot of them again because they were so busy
Mm-hmm.
doing Stranger Things. But we ended up being able to reconnect just through seeing each other on the show. And it was about 5 years later, and I was like, oh my gosh. And we totally got to catch up. And it was kind of a great way to be able to get to know them all over again
Yeah.
as young adults.
That's so special.
It's just
Yeah.
crazy how that specific chunk of time somehow managed to carry over into the
Mhm.
Stranger Things universe.
Yeah, it was really cool because I remember the show needed they had posted that they needed a lot of kids
Mm-hmm.
and young actors, and they were specifically looking in the New York area. So there were a lot of Broadway children who were working who were like, "Oh, are you going in for this?" And like they were like totally like all updating each other like, I heard that it's like they got their set, it's gonna be like Caleb and Gaten, and like everyone was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And then we didn't hear about it for a little while, and then it was out and everyone was like, whoa, and it was massive, and we were
Yeah.
like, that's wild.
Yeah.
Man.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I just love how like the kids are like so interconnected. The Broadway kids.
It's a whole network, and a lot of them still like keep in touch. It's the type of thing that like once you're there,
Mm-hmm.
like everyone just cared so much about each other. And we were also just little kids that like if we weren't in school, like those were the type of people that we would be talking to
Yeah.
that were our age. So it was like kind of like being in our own like group of a class kids
Mm-hmm.
that were kind of all just all over the place, and then they would find time to meet up with each other and do regular kid activities when they could.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a lot of the childhood connections that I have and they have, as
Mhm.
opposed to like being in kindergarten together.
Right. And do you guys go to like regular school, or do you guys homeschool when you're on Broadway? Like, how does that work?
When we were specifically on Broadway, I know that a lot of kids were students at public schools in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like me included. I just went to public school. There was one year where I wasn't able to because I was doing work during the day and at night. And so I homeschooled myself. And it was also, my happened to
Mm-hmm.
be a teacher in New York, so she was allowed to do that. But a lot of times, there's a lot of kids that end up either going to public school and just trying to explain their situation and kind of work out their own system with
Yeah.
the set tutors and their actual in-school teachers when they're able to be back. Or there were a lot of kids that just totally homeschooled themselves, like just sat down with a textbook and would like teach themselves with a tutor, like all of this stuff. Especially like some of the older kids. I remember when I was young, there would be like high schoolers teaching themselves calculus. I was like, I don't know how you're doing this. This is
That's
like
crazy. That's
so
crazy.
so difficult to grasp. I was like, I love this. Good for you being able to do that. However, I will be in school during the days because I need someone to help explain it to me. There's
Mhm.
no way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't even do
Yeah.
it with a teacher. That's rough.
No.
I
Literally,
couldn't
it's
do
so
it by
hard.
myself. There's no way.
Exactly. I was like, some of these people are actually insanely smart, like so much smarter than a lot of people give them credit for.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's totally true of a lot of the Stranger Things kids. Like as soon as they got to such massive popularity, like they had to be really well spoken from such a young age about so many
Mhm.
different topics. So I feel like they're really, really intelligent, just like their characters.
Yeah. Can we stay on the theater topic for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
My favorite.
I'm very, very new to theater. Like,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
so at the premiere of Stranger Things The First Shadow, that was my very first Broadway play
Really? That's so
ever.
cool.
Yeah.
We love
I
But
love
Wicked,
that.
the movie Wicked was what like opened me up to like the theater world. And I always feel
Yeah.
like I was like a closeted theater kid. But I grew up in a
Mhm.
very small town with like zero arts. And I'm in Texas, so it's like football, football, football here.
Right.
So I always feel like there was a part of me that was always like a theater kid. And I feel like I'm discovering it now for the first time. So like I wonder like
that.
where did your where did your like love of theater and your musicality come from?
Ooh, that's really good. And I feel like being at the very beginning of starting to find like exactly what types of like theater, like everything about just starting to learn about things is the best part.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And then once you find everything that you love, like I heard that the first Shadow has such cool like technical elements.
Yeah.
I
It's
am planning on seeing it very soon, but like I've heard it's really cool to
it's
see.
watching an episode live. Like how they
Yeah.
do it, I have no idea.
That's
It's magic.
incredible.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. I think that a lot of the ways that I grew up interacting with theater before I was a part of it
Hmm.
was through my community. I happened to grow up in the capital region of New York, and there was like a somewhat large theater scene right near where I was, and
Hmm.
I like totally gravitated towards it. I just thought it was the coolest thing. And so my parents and my family started taking me to all of these different shows that like I just seemed to suddenly want to go see all the time.
Yeah.
Um, and eventually I was like, I would totally like be like singing on my own. And I did a kindergarten talent show where I sang a song from Les Mis. And I was like the only kid
Mm.
there that knew somewhat what Les Mis was.
Yeah.
And so the teacher was like, there's like community theater that you could be like putting yourself in, like you could
Yeah.
be auditioning for that type of stuff. And so I was like really invested in like being a part of just local productions around my town for the longest time.
Wow.
It just so happened that they were doing a production of Les Mis in the same town around the same time.
Mhm.
And so my music teacher was like, you just sang that song and that's pretty much all that character has to do. So you should totally like go and just sing it again here and like see if you can be in it. And I was, and I kind of just fell in love with it ever since then.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
love that.
I
So
do
good.
feel like I'm still like getting into so many different things, especially when a lot of new work is coming out all the time. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's because you get to constantly ingrain yourself into like this world. It's never like you're not immersed,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it's never like you're going to have seen every single thing ever. It's always discovering stuff and
Right.
then like either being like, oh, that's awesome, or like, oh, that's cool, but that's not for me. Like, and I think that so much of that is so cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
you just watched John Proctor's The Villain?
Yes.
What did you
Yes, I did.
think?
Oh my gosh, it was so cool. It was so cool. Sadie was incredible, and I happened to also have a lot of friends from other shows growing up that I did who were also a part of the cast. So it was like so cool to see them all working together.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, none of them had ever worked with or known each other before that, but I had known all of them. So, like, seeing them like get to know each other
Yeah.
and interact is like so like kind of like surreal, but like in a really interesting way. But it's such a good play. It is such a good play. I have genuinely been thinking about it since I saw it. It was incredible. It was really, really great. And Sadie is like totally deserving of all of the like amazing stuff that she's getting from it. And I love that it's like right across the street from the first shadow.
Yes.
Like she's constantly like right there
Mm-hmm.
where Stranger Things is like in the middle of Times Square. Like she's right
Yeah.
there too.
Yeah, they're right there. Yeah,
Yeah.
John Proctor is on my list. I'm hoping I can get back to New York summer because I want to see it so bad. It
It's
looks so
really
good.
worth seeing. It's really cool.
Feels so
And
good.
Sadie just got a Tony nom.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is like
Incredible.
so wild to me.
Mhm.
I mean, I believe it, but
Yeah.
like she is so young and
She was.
she's got so much ahead of her. And like knowing her when she was just like a little kid and we were both like getting into it at the same time
Yeah.
versus now, like it's just she's come such a long way in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Like maybe been a decade, maybe 10 years, and she's
Mhm.
already like, at a Tony nomination,
Yeah.
which is like
It's crazy.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It-
but
yeah.
it's like it's definitely I'm so interested to see like just how this entire awards season goes, especially for her because she's nominated with a bunch of other young people from John Proctor as well. So like
Yeah.
I just think it's like such a hectic time for like so many people,
And
and
it's
I
such a
know that it's gonna be
such a stacked
great.
award season.
Yes, it really is.
Like I haven't seen any other play besides for Shadow, but like I know like Groff is in there, Idina's in
Yeah.
there. Like there's just so much
It's crazy.
new shows and new great talent that's in this Tony Award season. So it's crazy.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that are like making their quote unquote returns, like
Mhm.
Sadie being one of them. But like I feel like it's so interesting to see that so many of the people who are nominated are like people who like had a longer break from theater doing other like artistic things and then coming back to it. Coming right back and being nominated like straight away. Like I feel like all of those people are in like such a similar position.
Yeah.
It's actually really, really interesting because
Yeah.
that doesn't always happen.
No, that's cool. I was really excited to hear Idina was coming back to the stage. It's obviously
Right.
like Frozen, and then she had her little cameo in Wicked, and then now she's back.
Yes.
So that was really really
That
cool,
was that was really, really cool. And I remember when all of the Stranger Things kids and I were like little and performing, she was in a show that was right across the street from where we were at the time. And I would see her all the time, like going into work, and she would be like, it's you look so much like little me, like, and then I ended up like she totally remembered that, and I ended up playing like a young version of her in this movie that she was working on, and she like totally was like, there's this little kid that looks so much like me and she sings, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is wild. And she like totally like remembered that, and I was like, that's like genuinely really cool. Like,
Yeah.
it's a
And now
really
that
cool.
you say it, I see it.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, like, I guess, but she was like, I just like, it would be a quick thing, and I was like, this is so cool. And it was the first film thing that I ever worked on, because I worked a lot in theater,
Mm-hmm.
but I never really bridged into film until then. I was like, this is so exciting. And I was just like this little kid that was like, you're so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I
She's
wanted
awesome.
to touch on your role as Matilda
Yes.
and just kind of ask, how did that role shape you, not just on the stage, but off the stage as well?
I feel like I was really impacted by the like rehearsal process, surprisingly, for the show, because I was coming into the show after as the first like group of people to ever come into the show. Not
Yeah.
only just the first group of Matildas, but it was their first group of new people ever coming into the show. And so they had like a really intense rehearsal process where all of the four Matildas were really working like 9, 10 hours a day, like really, really like getting into understanding the show. And it was like a lot of really meticulous work. And I like since then don't think that I've ever seen like a similar type of process, except for maybe at like a really intense like program or class. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
this is like really intense work that they had all of these people working through, and half of them were like under the age of like 12. But
Yeah.
I think that a lot of it was about learning how to kind of like lead a group in a lot of ways. I think like a lot of the show actually depends on like if the Matilda is able to like remember all of the specifically the script, like the lines that she has. It's a lot of storytelling like
Mm-hmm.
for long periods of time without anyone else talking.
Yeah.
And so like I think like a lot of it really helped me to learn how to like be comfortable with just speaking for a long time and storytelling and learning how to get myself back on track if something went wrong and or something was totally different that night. We would have like small like things happen every night that would be like the automation or like the moving this, the moving that like didn't
Yeah.
happen
Mm-hmm.
because it was such a technical show, and like you would have to have like 10 different backups for like if this doesn't happen, this is what I need to do in like every single
Wow.
moment. So it was like a lot of like learning, memorizing, and then like being able to just like quickly adapt to like anything that maybe is different.
Yeah.
So it was like a really, really interesting process, especially like learning skills like that as like a 9, a 10-year-old. Like
Yeah.
it was like really helpful knowing a lot of that stuff, even just moving forward from then. I felt like I had like a really specific skill that I could use in a lot of different ways after that.
Yeah.
And then like I totally used all of that stuff. I moved straight into a different show on Broadway, and I was there for a really long time. It was more like 3.5 years. And I like took like even just that like less than a year period of time that I was
Mm-hmm.
a Matilda, and I like totally was able to apply it to like anything else that I did after. And I was like, this is like really, really cool to have been able to be a part of something so technical. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think it's never been that way, at least not with something live ever since then for me. And then when I got to like sets like Stranger Things, I was like, this is exactly the same type of thing, but like they can like recreate it over and over again if it doesn't work. And they end up getting like something really good that looks really specifically right for like that one take, and they use it.
Wow.
Wow.
No, that's such like a good such a good skill to have, is like just being like, okay, that went wrong, but I can recover.
Yeah.
Because my God, could I use that skill?
Oh
It
my,
is like it's gonna be like one of those things where it's gonna be like what do they call it? Like immersion therapy, where you just have to kind of like throw yourself into it.
Yeah. And I think for me, that was totally a thing that I happened to really need as a
Mhm.
kid. I was like such a ambitious, I was so like dedicated to so many things and
Yeah.
so passionate about so many things. And like when I wasn't doing everything like perfectly exactly as planned, like it really like got to me.
Yeah. I
And
feel
like
that.
it was really tricky to kind of be able to like not care about that type of stuff and just have an alternative.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like that was totally like that was very like immersion therapy for me because I
Yeah.
was like, I don't know what to do about this, but like eventually it just became like a second nature, especially when I was doing the show, and then it would find its way into everything that I did.
That's so
And
good.
I was like, that honestly really was a good a good step for me. Like aside from like a good career step and like
Mhm.
being able to work with all of those incredible people, I was like, that actually taught me a lot that I probably would have struggled with anyway as a
Yeah.
person
Mm-hmm.
if I had not had that experience.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm glad that happened then. That was really, really good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, because I
For
think if that was
sure.
me, I would have like, "Oh, crap, this went wrong, panic off the stage.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm like darting off the stage, you know?
Yeah, like, and at the beginning, I was like, I don't know what else to do. Like, this is, and I would be like, well, I can't go off stage, so I'd have to force myself to just be like, okay, what can I do? Like,
Mhm.
what can I
Mhm.
do?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Right.
like it's really interesting. It's really interesting how they used to work with the kids. It was a very specific like model that they don't usually use with child actors. And like it was just like it was effective for what they needed to accomplish cuz honestly all of the kids in that show like have to be really really smart and
Yeah.
like specifically smart at staying safe because there's so many like elements that were like potentially like risky, like a lot of like moving things, a lot of
Yeah.
moving parts. There's like a lot of elements of like the magic of like how this happens, or like when Matilda is moving stuff like with her
Mhm.
mind. It's like, and a lot of those kids like had to be able to know how to keep themselves safe if anything were to go wrong. So like a lot of like just coordination, like and like quick, like fast reflexes, I feel
Yeah.
like for any of those kids, not just the Matildas, was like
Yeah.
so important.
What'd you think of the movie?
Ooh, the most recent movie that they did, I thought was so good. It was so cute. I was definitely crying because I went to go see it with like all of the people that I had done it with.
Oh my gosh.
And they had rented out a theater just for all of the people who were ever a part of any of the Broadway production teams. And we all just sat there and like watched it together. And it had been directed and designed by majority the same exact people from
Oh
the
wow, from
original teams.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like it was really actually true to if they were to translate it, how it probably would have been done. And I was like, there's like nothing more special than like watching this with the people that I did it with, and then also the people that made this specific film
yeah.
now, like all in the same room. And everyone was like definitely very emotional. Just like there's something so special about like being back with a lot of the people who are now adults that were like so
Mhm.
little then. Like everyone
Mhm.
was so different and not in the way that like an adult would be like kind of the same personality, same person if you saw them 10 years later. It was like a bunch of people who like suddenly I was like, your voice is so low. Like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. And like they act totally different and they're like, oh, I'm a doctor now. Like that was the only thing I ever did. Or like there's certain kids that are like still working, like still doing stuff.
Yeah. And
And like it
when
was
you guys does it turn into a sing along? Or
it kind of did.
yeah.
At certain moments, we were like, "Oh my gosh!" Or like, I think especially like some of the kids like would be like, "I hear like the like the steps for the choreography. Like I can
The muscle
hear the
memory kicks in.
choreographer like like yelling it out. Like I can just like it's whenever you hear certain moments, you're like, "This is when this happens."
Yeah.
It never leaves you. Like if
Mhm.
I'm listening to it now, like I still am like, oh my gosh, I have to go do this, and then I'm like, wait, no, I don't have to go like preset this or grab this object. Like, what am I talking about? It's not even here. Yeah. Like, it's just like, it's become like a reflex at this point anytime I hear that stuff.
Oh my gosh.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
That movie was so good.
I bawled. Like with Miss Honey's songs, I'm like, that's one of my dream roles is to play Miss Honey and her songs.
Yes, I could totally see that. I could see that. It's a really, really good role.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that one's so good. Yeah.
And I love that in in the musical, Matilda's way more of like a baddie in a way than compared to the 90s film. Like she's
Yeah.
like so much more like fierce and strong, and like
Yeah.
I guess like her anger from the situation and everything around her, you can see how it fuels her power, which you kind of see in which is kind of in like the 90s movie, but it's kind of more like lighthearted.
Right.
But I could feel more Matilda's like energy in this like musical.
Yeah, I do think that, like, especially, I was just saying the other day, I was talking with Mara Wilson, who was the original, like, with the Matilda from
Yeah.
the 90s. I met her like a few years ago, and we like totally realized how similar we were as people. And we were like, this is really fun. We've been talking for hours.
Wow.
I kept in contact with her, and she has such interesting things to say about like growing up as a performer. And like, I feel like I have like so many of like the same like exact experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Her takes are just like on everything are really, really like well thought through. And so I was like talking with her. I was like, it's a much more like human version of like what a little kid would be like in the 90s film. I feel like it's like a very human take on what Matilda is like.
Yeah.
Like she's very like emotionally well adapted. Like she understands like a lot emotionally that I think like the Matilda in the stage version, like I think she understands, but it's such a different thing. It's like there's a specific moment that like really comes to mind where the directors were like, when you are talking about how these two people fell in love and got married in the story that Matilda tells, make it like it's almost like it's two like giant like massive planets like colliding, and it's like an engagement. And it's like love is like this like abrasive like doctrine, like it's not really like she understands what it is, but it's like she's much more like literal. And then when you
Yeah.
actually do get to see her like show any sort of emotion that isn't just like fully analytical, it's like that's what makes it so much more effective for an audience that's there live.
Yeah.
So that's like I really do like how they had a totally different idea for like what their Matilda character would be.
Yeah.
Like especially after coming after such an iconic like film of it. It's like
Yeah.
it's a very different take.
And I feel like the musical follows the book a lot more closely, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I recently reread it, and I think it follows it way more closer. Like the Matildas match up there.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's almost like she's like they used to almost be like try to be like a robot at certain moments. Like people should not know if you're quite human. Like
Yeah.
why is this little child saying these things? Like and I do feel like I get that when I read the book. I'm like, they make her like so intelligent for her age that it's like impossible.
Yeah, it's
like
beyond
you
her
don't
years.
know it.
Yeah.
It's real. Yeah.
Love that.
Okay, on the topic of Broadway, what's the dream Broadway role? Everything you've ever watched or anything you could ever be in, what's like the one thing you'd be like, if this role was available to me, I'm taking it in a heartbeat, in a second?
That is such a good question. I recently have really loved like a lot of like semi older musicals. I love Cabaret right now, and I'd want to be in it if I ever could. So definitely like Cabaret, anyone in Cabaret. But I feel like I also like I really enjoy getting to see something for the first time, especially like what is coming out now is so different than any other like Broadway work that has been written before. It's like a very new contemporary type of like change of pace. And so like getting to do one of those new shows for the first time, I also feel like would be like really like a dream.
Yeah.
But yeah, or like that, or like a really contemporary take on an old show. Like either of those, I feel like I would love to get to do.
That's
fun.
I need to watch
Yeah.
Cabaret. My brother keeps telling me watch it, and I need to watch it.
Yeah, they just did this new revival, which was like so cool. So cool. I feel like there's been like a lot of recent revivals of very old musicals that try to make the source material really relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And this was one of the times where I was like, okay, I see how this still like really, really makes sense for a lot of people to need to see.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't always happen. Sometimes it's just like things are way too different now. Like in a way that like another gap of years in history, it would be like, oh, but like I do feel like the world has just changed so much since like a lot of really old musicals have been written.
Yeah.
But like that was one of the revivals where I was like, this still is really, really important and really cool.
I'm gonna add it to my list.
Yeah.
It's good. I want to do like a crossover between Broadway and Stranger Things and ask if Suzie was in a Broadway show, what would she be in? What do you think?
Yes. This is really funny because specifically Gaten and I have talked about this before. Suzie and Dustin were in any Broadway show, I feel like their entire like chemistry and their vibes just work so perfectly for Little Shop of Horrors.
I literally was thinking that. I was like,
That's good.
Audrey?
They would be belting the like suddenly Seymour moments, like
Perfection.
I just
Oh
feel
my
like
God.
like that would make so much sense for them.
100%. Like, please say Little Shop of Horrors. And I'm like, yes.
I
Who
could
do I need to
totally
who do
see
I need
that.
to email?
I
That
know.
needs to happen.
Yes, we were like,
My
that'd be
gosh.
I love Milo. I love Milo in this production right now. But you two,
yes,
perfection. Let's
it
make
would be
it
so
happen.
fun.
Yes.
It would be fun.
I would buy out all the tickets to be the only one there and watch.
Yeah, literally, we were like, and it would be so fun for us. We were like, this would honestly just get to be like us performing together again, and something that is like something that is not just a 2-minute duet on Stranger Things, like something that actually could be an entire show.
Yeah.
Because it was so fun. I just wish that we got to have more than just that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I met Gaten last year at a con, and I was talking about how you and Gaten haven't actually had a scene together.
No.
But y'all are dating.
Yeah.
Dustin and Dusty Bun and Susie Poo are dating, but you guys actually haven't been in. The California crew was with you in 4.
Yeah.
I was like, how?
That's why I was saying, I was just like,
if you would have told me that I would be coming back to the show after season 3,
Yeah.
but I'd be in scenes with specifically Finn, Noah, Charlie, and Eduardo, and like that entire California crew, I would have been like, why? What?
Yeah.
Why not? Like, that makes no sense. But like now it totally does. I'm just like, there's no way that I've done a bunch of stuff with so many other people and yet not anything in person with Gaten.
Right.
Who, like, they're literally together. It makes the most sense for them to see at some point. But yeah, I was like, I'm hopefully, like, at some point, there's a way that people will be able to know what the update is with them, and if they ever got to see each other in person after that one summer at camp.
Yes.
I feel like Suzie would end up moving. I
think she moved out of that.
Yeah. I feel like from the way that they had been talking initially about Suzie as a character when I came back, they were like, you have this older sister and she's like kind of really different like from you, but like theoretically you would end up being a lot more like her the more you grew.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that was their way of kind of being like, I don't know. I feel like she would in her own way like take initiative and like be like, all right, I'm just gonna go move to you. I think that would be her future somewhere.
Yeah. That'd be really
And also,
cute
like,
if she ends up at a school with him. Like they end up going to college later on. That'd be so cute. Like, do it.
Give us a spin-off series of them at MIT.
No, literally, I was like, there's so many things that you could do that don't have to do with putting in Stranger Things. There's so many stories they have to get through. On this one show, I'm like, there's so many spin-offs that you all could honestly do just to tell more about one specific character. That there's an endless amount of spin-off series that you could be making.
Yeah.
And I'm sure one day they will, but it's just a question of who all are they going to have on their list to see and interact first. It's there's a lot. At this point, they have a long list of characters.
Yeah. It's a huge cast.
Yeah, of all the shows that are still in production right now, I feel especially on a Netflix show, I feel they have a very large cast at this point.
They do.
But I'm gonna root for you guys for Little Shop of Horrors.
I know.
Yes,
I think that's perfect.
That'd be really fun.
Yeah.
I do think that Suzie and Dustin, not just Gaten and I, but Suzie and Dustin would have a good time too.
Yeah.
I think that's where they belong.
I think that was the most perfect answer ever. I can see it. It's perfect.
And people do say that the Demogorgon it looks very similar to an Audrey 2 type of plant. I was first time I was watching the show, looking at a Demogorgon with its face, I was oh my gosh, that's Little Shop.
Yeah.
So I feel it's fitting.
I agree.
Putting it into the universe now.
Yes.
We need it. We need it.
I want to see it.
Oh yeah. That's amazing. Yeah.
The other thing I was going to ask is, while we're talking about Stranger Things, what is your relationship with NeverEnding Story? Because it's probably the most requested thing I would imagine you get. It's hey, can you sing this? Or that's the most talked about thing. So do you are you sick of the song? Do you love the song? Do you embrace it?
No, I feel I love it. The thing about it is, I feel Gaten especially, he's got so much that he's worked on since then, specifically vocally. He was in Sweeney Todd, he was in Dear Evan Hansen. He has a lot more that and he's constantly hearing this one song. He's anything else.
Yeah.
And yeah, that makes sense. But personally for me, I love it. I feel it's a song that I always have loved. And I get excited anytime that I hear it or get to sing it, because it is something that I do. If someone is coming up and we're meeting, that is something that has happened.
Yeah.
Usually 50% of the time that is the thing. And it is really fun because I've also they'll be can you sing it, and then it'll be I'll be yeah, let's do it as a duet, because half of the time Gaten's not right there with me. And then it's I get to do it with people other than Gaten. It's so cool. Sometimes it'll be a really really little kid, and that's just so much fun. I can't imagine a world where I wouldn't like that. It's just exciting to know that people care and they found it
Connect
fun.
with it, yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
So I don't get tired of it at all.
I gotta be honest, I haven't seen the movie because I think the dragon is so scary.
Really?
Yes, I think it is one of the scariest things.
Over a Demogorgon?
I know.
I was gonna say,
yeah, I see the dragon and I'm I can't. There's just something about the face that just throws me off.
Yeah, it's one of those he's the puppetry, the Henson puppetry that sometimes looks a little uncanny, and you're I don't know how to feel. I thought you were going to say because it's so sad. I the one scene that really scarred me as a kid is the scene with the horse. I was so sad. I was this is I don't know how I'm gonna sleep tonight. I was 6. I was I'm gonna be thinking about this for a really long time.
Is it brutal?
It's it's just really sad. It's it's just I don't know, death, dealing with grief. It's just really sad. And I was no, it's kind of it's equivalent to I feel how little kids would feel about Bambi. Like,
Oh, it's that
you see,
level.
like an animal die, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, like, and it's not, and it's really unsettling. It's like, I just remember, maybe it's not even that bad, but like, I just remember being so sad after watching it, and like, it's a cool story, but like, I
Hmm.
was like, that one moment, like, really got to me. I was like, and then I ended up like watching it so much more, and I was like, ugh, this is so fun. And my parents had me watching like all of the like these films that they
Yeah.
grew up with from a young age. So I feel like even besides the NeverEnding Story, like I was really familiar with like anything Jim Henson from the 80s, and like any like other like Goonies, like all the other things that really helped to inspire the kind of the visuals and like a lot of the aspects that go into Stranger Things. Like I
Hmm.
had already been like, oh, I love these even as a little kid. So I was like really familiar with all of that, but especially like stuff like the Neverending Story. I was like, those were my favorites, even just growing up, and I didn't grow up in the 80s. So
I'm gonna try to suck it up. I'm gonna try to suck it up and watch watch the movie.
yeah, it is like it's cool. It's fun. Like
Yeah.
I see why people love it, but
I'm just
it
close
is
my
like,
eyes during the dragon.
yeah, it's like a little bit uncanny. It feels a little bit like, but it's also like it's so cool seeing how like in a lot of ways shows like Stranger Things have like changed effects to be a lot less practical, like a lot
Hmm.
less physical, a lot more like editing and CGI, but like stuff from like the 80s when they really didn't work with that hardly at all. Like
Yeah.
all of the very specific like visual effects that they do, I'm like, that's awesome because like
Hmm.
you didn't really have the resources to even do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
I want to touch on Pretty Little Liars Original Sin.
Yeah.
You played Angela Waters,
Yes,
right?
I did.
Okay. And I was gonna say Angelina and I don't know why. So I was like in my head, but Angela Waters, but that was very much more like a darker character
Yeah,
with a darker story. Okay, so like
absolutely.
as an actor, when you kind of get those like darker things, do you feel like it's a different vibe and it like weighs on you differently compared to like Susie, who's a little bit more
Yeah,
optimistic maybe and a little bit more on the happier side?
yeah. I think, well, I think it definitely does. I think that, like, especially when I first went in to work on the show, I was told, you know, this character, Angela Waters, is going to be in this first episode's very beginning sequence, and
Hmm.
then, like, that's it. Like, that's literally all you're going to be a part of. And I was like, great, okay. Like, really interesting. And it's just this, like, scene where you watch her die, and
Yeah.
that's it. And so I was under the impression that that was like all there was going to be. And then it ends up being like this whole story. And I was back a lot more with the same group of people that I did that first scene with. And so I feel like there was a lot at the beginning that I had no idea had factored into the story up until that point.
Hmm.
And so like the more and more that was uncovered, I feel like this would have been so interesting if I got to do this all again, like the very
Yeah.
beginning, knowing all of this, because I feel like it could have been so different.
Yeah.
But I also feel like going in and like doing a character that is so different from Susie, like emotionally, is it was a really interesting challenge, because I do feel like I tend to like Susie feels more like a character to me, because
Hmm.
she's very specific. She's like got very specific quirks and character traits. But like Angela's like very, like they said, like try to do it like Carrie White. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that was just literally like all I had to go off of. So like anything else that was there was kind of just stuff that I thought of myself,
Hmm.
because there wasn't a whole ton of reference at that point. And it was just like it was really interesting to like work on something that I don't even know if they had like full concept ideas for at the very start,
Wow.
or at least maybe they did, but they just didn't tell us what they wanted us to do. So it was like it was really special to get to at least do all of that first initial work, and then find out like, oh, you're going to get to see all these people again, and you're actually going to be interacting a whole lot more.
Yeah.
um because it was really fun, but really, really quick at first. It was only a few days that we worked on that whole opening moment.
Which
And
is so it was so intense when I watched it.
yeah,
It
they
like
like,
sucked you right into the show. It was
yeah,
so good.
they had like specifically me, I was going in to have like my actual body like molded and sculpted to like for like effects. Like
Mhm.
it was really, really interesting. I was also like drenched in fake blood that I
Yeah.
could not get off of my body for weeks. Like it was like it is genuinely like still on my face, and I would be like showing up to like different things, like different classes. And at that point, like people were still like, "What? Are you okay? Like, is that real?" And I would be like, "No, like I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm okay." I was just like, I was working, and everyone would always be like, "Oh, like working, okay." Like that's your job,
Yeah.
okay? So yeah, it was at least really fun to get to know like, all right, it's going to be like really intense like material, but you are going to get to work with all the same people again for like the rest of this year.
That's
That was
awesome.
like what made it really, really worth it and really cool.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh, I was waiting for HannahSarah.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any characters that you've played already that you'd love to revisit and kind of take on that role again?
Yeah. I mean, definitely.
Yeah.
Ooh. There's specifically, I think one that I think about a lot. Specifically, one of the shows that I worked on right after Matilda on Broadway was called Fun Home.
Fun Home.
And uh, it was like one of my most favorite things that I've ever been a part of. Um, and I got to be a part of it when it was first starting. And then I did it all for the entire Broadway run of it.
Yeah.
And so like it was really interesting as a little kid to get to like be with a show from the time that it is like in production and they're still writing it to like the time that, it's done in New York. And so in the show, the character that I played was like the youngest version of the main character. And there's three separate versions of this character throughout her life. Like one is when she's like 9 years old, one is when she's in college, and then one is when she's like in her early 40s. I think if I ever got to revisit a character, I would want to be like at least either the college aged version of that same
Yeah.
character or the adult version of that same character, because I feel like it's like I did so much work to like really understand exactly what the entire character was uh in like the littlest form, that like getting to like grow up and then actually like take on the same person but at a different stage in their life that
Yeah.
would
Yeah,
be the same as like my same stage in my life would be so cool. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be able to do that.
That would be really cool.
Now I
Yeah.
want to see it.
And it's a really, really great show. I think like when I think about something that I've been a part of that like really, really altered the trajectory of my life, like I would say Stranger Things and Fun Home. Like specifically Stranger Things because it's such a huge show, and when
Mhm.
I'm meeting people, it's usually like almost 100% like that show that is like the main focus of like how they would know me as a performer. But I feel like also Fun Home because on a much more in a much more personal way to like me, I feel like I was like 10 when I started and almost 14 when I was done. Like it was a major part of like my tween years, and
Mhm.
like it was also like teaching me so many great things about like who I wanted to be. We got to do like a lot of work that was political, or like just showing up to events and like specifically like I would be like speaking on behalf of like a lot of people and a lot of different communities that
Yeah.
like would need advocacy work, and I would like kind of I felt like it was a lot of pressure to like be able to articulate exactly what all of these people needed me to get across. But like I think now looking back, it's like, oh, I wish I could just like understand what I understand now as an adult, and
Yeah.
like know that that was what I was working on when I was so little. Also getting to bring that into like playing a character again
Mhm.
would be like a major part of it, I think.
And do you think like in that like specific moment when you're doing like the becoming an advocate and speaking on behalf of communities, do you think it like carries over and like maybe was a catalyst for like your voice now as you're like entering adulthood?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think like when I talk with my parents about like how I was as like a little kid, they were
Mhm.
like, you were always like so dramatic, but like specifically like very passionate about like speaking out.
Yeah.
Like and like it makes sense like that you are who you are now, but I think like being a part of a process that actually helped me to like refine like and learn about how to go about uh like I guess just policy work. Like it
Mhm.
it's so different and so specific for like someone who's like an actor to like learn how to like be formal in a totally different way.
Yeah.
So like it was like I feel like I got to learn a lot about like how to refine all of the thoughts that I actually and like the feelings that I actually had, and like now it totally has affected my life and paid off so much. Like I feel like once again, like it's a skill that like really I use in everyday life
Yeah.
now. And like I totally would not have been able to kind of like learn it in the first place if I wasn't a part of something from such an early age.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like that's what a lot of like child performers have to say about being a performer who's so young. Like is like it's a lot of really very specific skills. They're not like average like things that you would teach a child at school to be able to do, but like in a lot of ways it like set up those kids for like some really great specific opportunities to like
Mhm.
really just kind of advocate for themselves, and then also like focus more on like doing the things that they loved.
Yeah.
um
It's so good to just learn those skills like so young and transfer it over into adulthood,
yeah,
especially early adulthood.
yeah, I really do feel like it's something that like is really special, and I feel like a lot of people are like, yeah, like I grew up so different. I
Mhm.
I didn't have like an average childhood, but like I don't know a single person that would trade like
Yeah.
maybe like they're the type of person that would be like, maybe I wouldn't suggest it for any other kid, but like
Mhm.
I wouldn't be who I am today if I wasn't a part of everything that I was. And you know, like I've been talking with like Sadie and like people like that
Yeah.
about their experiences. It's like I wouldn't necessarily trade it because I love the person that I am now, and like that was
Mhm.
some part of it no matter what.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think too, seeing it like I can see how like it all like maybe kind of filters in from like an outside perspective because like Matilda's a very strong-willed character. Same with
Mhm.
Susie. She's an intelligent young woman, and it kind of like is a good representation of like you like well-rounded and like what we see of you
Yeah.
online in your work. It's like you're a strong woman and maybe it filtered through all these like strong female characters you've played along the way.
Oh
So I
yeah.
think that's like a
Definitely.
good like
Yeah.
outside perspective of it.
Yeah. The second that I read a script and I'm like the second that I read the script and like Susie was who Susie was, like I
Mhm.
was like, oh, this is perfect. Like this is this is for me.
Yeah.
Um and like I feel like I like get so invested, especially in characters like that. And it's like it's fun that those are the ones that I end up getting most attached to, and then also the ones that I am lucky enough to like actually get to portray.
Yeah. Totally.
So good.
Hannah, Sarah, you got a final question there?
I I think that's a really beautiful place to end. I think the
I
only thing
think
I
so
maybe have
too. I
is
think so
if
too.
I know I'm like, gosh, geez. Maybe if you have anything new coming up that you want to touch on or anything, but for me that was such an
Ooh.
bow, like tying a bow ending. I was like, oh my gosh.
I'm gonna steal a question from HannahSarah though.
Wow, I said
I'm gonna
not to.
I'm gonna steal this question. Is there anything like through this journey that you know now that you would go back and tell your younger self?
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, I feel like I was just asked this question. The last time I was asked this question, I was with Maya Hawk, and like
Were you in
she had like,
Jackson?
yes, and she had like
Okay.
such an interesting answer. She was like, I would tell you to like be better, like be better. Like, and I was like, that's like, she was like really bullying her younger self. I was like, all right. I think that if I would tell myself anything at the beginning, I think I would like say to enjoy like every specific moment more. Like I feel like maybe it's just like who people are, but
Mhm.
it's like we're always like looking for the next thing, and like that's really exciting. But like
Yeah.
a lot of like the best things I remember about being like a part of such a large like entertainment industry was like specific moments where I was actively working on something that was ahead of me and like not necessarily in the exact moment,
Yeah.
even though I remember them so well. And I think also part of that is like being a little kid. But I think like if I had the chance to just go back and replay everything, I'd do so much more of just like taking in
Mhm.
everything that was going on, because like everything around me, I feel like I was learning so much just through being in all of these places on all of these sets. And it's like it can be like really overwhelming, especially when you don't necessarily understand everything that's going on.
Mhm.
But I feel like being perceptive, like as a little kid, was the moments where I really remember like being in the moment. And like it was like the moments where I was really curious about like learning what
Yeah.
was going on. And just like being able to do that in anything else and everything else, I feel like is like an important thing that I would remind myself to do.
So
Because there's
good.
also there's so many other things that like totally like come back around, like the same way that like just having fun like as a little kid at the park with the other Stranger Things kids
Yeah.
would like end up being like us working together as adults now. Like it's just like I feel like it all comes back around, but like I wouldn't have been actively thinking like remember this, like enjoy this back
Mhm.
right when that was first happening, because I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
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 Perfect.
Yeah.
Chef kiss. Take it,
Yes.
soak it up.
I want to see you be Miss Honey now.
That'd be so fun. I'd love
Yeah,
that.
I'm thinking about it. I'm like, this
Oh.
happen.
Oh, that'd be so fun. I love theater. I live in Idaho, and we have like a Broadway style theater that does a bunch of shows. And this year they had Little Shop of Horrors on for like an option, and they cut it out.
Goodness.
But I was
No,
like, no. But they're doing Anastasia, which I love.
love it.
Adam's Family, another great one.
Amazing.
Phantom, which I thought was really odd. I'm like, that's
That's really
coming back
specific.
to Broadway, and they're
Yeah.
doing a tour. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
But yeah, so that would be very fun. Hope
that
one
is so.
day.
That is amazing.
No.
Yes, I'm hoping because that'd be
Yes,
so cool.
that would be. Anyway,
All right,
you
we're gonna manifest HannahSarah as Miss Honey. We're gonna
and then you
manifest
too at Little Shop of Horrors.
exactly.
Yes.
All the things.
Exactly.
All the
Well,
things.
what's your dream role? Now we have to manifest for you too.
You know what? I would really love to do something in American Horror Story.
And I love
Like
that.
if I could go back and like my younger self, I was so anxious and so nervous to audition, but I feel like now I might be in a better place to go,
Yeah.
give it another try. But oh my gosh, what I would do to be in Coven, that season of American Horror Story, my favorite.
Coven is so awesome. And Stevie Nicks, like that whole aspect is
Yes.
so fun to me.
And Misty Day is like my favorite.
Favorites.
Insane.
Just her little twirl with her Shaw.
I love it. Half of like the outfit inspiration that I have now as an adult is just like
Misty
because of
Day.
Misty Day.
Yes, yes, it's so
As
good.
when it was airing, because I was always super into like scary and like also just like very like mature, like
Mhm.
interesting story-based shows. Like so my parents were like, all right, sure, you can watch it with us. And like I was like, who is that? And it was like
Yes.
Misty Day, and I was like, that whoever that is who I want to be.
It's so good. And then I don't think this is a spoiler for anybody because it's been out for like a decade, but
Yeah.
her ending when she just wants
Yeah.
to, she loves the animal so much she can't get herself to like not do it, and she's stuck. I was like, oh, that was painful.
Yeah.
That was really painful. But
Yeah.
my gosh,
That's a
probably
really good. That's
yeah.
a really good like thing to manifest. I feel like that show is really iconic.
Yes, I think Coven's. I would. My top three would be the first three. I would rank it Coven, then Asylum, and then Murder House. That's how I would rank them. I love it so much.
That makes sense. Also, I love Asylum, and that specifically was always my parents' favorite. So I feel like that was always the one that was like playing when we were watching it the most. Because they would just like once it was available to like just replay, they were constantly rewatching it.
Yeah.
But like I agree with that. That's a really good. That would be something really awesome to be a part of too. I feel like.
First, I'm gonna manifest that I overcome audition fears, and then I'll work on it.
Well, you know, that's something that even now, I feel like everyone I know who like works all the time and auditions all the time, like still is like, yeah, like sometimes like there's certain things that you have to like, you think that like actual professional actors that do it all the time are totally over it, and that's like not even the case. It's like it's a tricky thing to get over.
I'm gonna have to do what we talked about earlier and just do immersion therapy.
Yeah.
Make myself go to like 20. And just like have the worst possible things that happen and then some great ones and just
That's actually not a bad idea. Like if I were to give advice to someone,
give the advice.
If I were to, I would be like, what? Like that's something that I actually feel like is probably really helpful. Is just doing it and like normalizing it for yourself. Like and that's something that I still like. I would advise myself to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna jump right in.
That's awesome. Well, I'll see you there. I'll be there too.
Yes. Just hold my hand during, okay?
Yes. We'll be great. We'll both be on the next season of American Horror Story.
Yes, together.
Revival.
Yes. Bring back a Coven revival. Yes, so good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we've all got our 2025 goals now. We're manifesting
for the rest of the year.
Yep. No, but I will email whoever I need to because the Little Shop of Horrors has to happen. That's
oh my gosh.
That's absolutely incredible. And let me just clarify, I have zero power, but I will do.
You know what?
I will bring this up.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter if enough people say it. I feel like it's like, yeah.
Honestly, and I'm not even saying this because you're here, that's probably the best freaking idea I've heard in a long time. I can see that for y'all.
More would be so good. I just know it. I have a feeling like it makes so much sense.
Yeah. And the range, like that's his role.
Yeah.
And like we've seen him in like glasses and a hat. I'm like, it's his role. Like
yeah. Perfection. I feel like Stranger Things fans, especially, like that would be like seeing him in a very like close to Dustin type of character.
Yes.
Like the same sci-fi elements. Like I do feel like it would be like something like The First Shadow, where they would be able to go and see him like something so similar to the show on stage though. Yeah. I don't know. It's a good marketing idea.
We're gonna make it happen.
Yeah. Text him to comment on it. Be like,
we'll inform him. Yes. Yeah. Inform him so he's not going up not knowing any of this and doing it.
Oh my goodness, this has been one of the best hours of my life.
Oh my gosh,
you're such a big deal to us, and we're so freaking grateful that you took the time to be with us. Because we're obsessed with you.
I know. I had a Facebook post come up, and it was just like with you guys with the songs, just like this is in my head, and it is like it's forever stuck with us, and we love it so much. Like Suzie was the perfect addition to season 3, and we love seeing her in season 4. So thank you for bringing her to life in the most authentic way.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Finally, somebody for Dustin. I was like, it's gotta happen somehow,
Exactly.
some way.
Yep.
It was the perfect way. It was the perfect way for him.
It was the perfect match.
Love it.
Okay, Gabriella, where can people find you? What's your handle? Where are you at?
I am on Instagram. I am just like at Gabriella Pizzolo, my name. And then I'm also on TikTok, and it's the same, but it's those are the two that I'm really, really on.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing everything that I see about Stranger Things, about the show, about Broadway stuff. Like
Yeah.
the stuff that I see on social media about all of the things that all of the Stranger Things kids are a part of is so cool. Like one of my favorite things ever. So yeah, I'm super active because of that.
Yes.
I love it.
One time you commented back to me on TikTok, and I
Really?
swear I was on a high. I was for like a week.
That's awesome.
I screenshot it and I was like, my God.
That makes me so happy.
I can't
That
remember.
makes me so happy.
It was about TV shows. I don't know. I commented like Stranger Things, Big Bang Theory. I can't remember what the topic was, but something
Yeah.
like that.
No, like I genuinely could just sit, I have before, but sit and talk for hours and hours about different like shows. Like it's one of my favorite things to do. And that's why this was so perfect, is because I feel like we just got to do so much of that. It's like
Yes.
it's one of the best hours for me too, because I honestly just love getting to talk about all different media. Like it's such a passion of mine. It's so fun.
You know, I can't believe like we're sitting here talking to Suzie Poop. We're talking to a Broadway star. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is our life right now? But we're so grateful.
Love it.
Thank you. Thank you. So much fun. I'm so glad.
Yes.
Yep. So yeah, you guys can follow Gabriella on her social handles at Gabriella Pizzolo. You can follow HannahSarah at official HannahSarah. That's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Did I get them all? Okay. You can follow me TikTok, Instagram, YouTube at Cubbie Collects, and that's Cubbie, not Cubby. I don't collect cubbies. My name is Cubbie. This is the best hour. You guys, if you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment. And I think for right now, that's all we got.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Over and out, I guess.